Moments ago, Jamie Little caught up with The Rock.
Mike, how cool is this? The Rock is with us to help kick off the NASCAR season. And on March 30th, you are going to help kick off the UFL.
Yeah.
Tell us about this new league and what you expect.
Well, first of all, I got to say it's awesome to be here. So for everybody at home, if you haven't been to a race, you got to go because this is incredible. Now, as for the UFL, cannot wait. The United Football League, I expect great football, passionate football. We all believe in spring football. We have the great support of the NFL, but most importantly than that, we have the great support of the fans. And the idea that we're going to create more opportunities for players and their families is really all that matters.
We can't wait to see it. All right, everybody knows you are the people's champion. So as you look at 100,000 people here, you're about to give the most famous words in racing. What's going through your mind?
Again, I have chills. This is incredible. There's a word I like to use all the time called mana, and you could feel the mana on the track, on this pavement. Over 100,000 people. The people are going crazy. I'm honored to be the Grand Marshal, to say those words. And what I love most, I met all the drivers. They're so amazing and welcoming. But what you realize, they're all after that shot at greatness. And I cannot wait for the race to start.
We're so happy you're with us. Go do your thing.
Yes, ma'am. Here we go.
He'll bring the energy, Mike.
Great to have him here.
Well, Evan, when we had him on yesterday's show, man, talk about mana. I felt the mana when he walked up, the presence of that great, huge human. I mean, the specimen that he is. He told us he was in bed at midnight and got up and worked out. I guess that's what it takes to be that big.
Well, we definitely won't see you getting up at midnight to go into the gym, but we know that The Rock is here, and when he talks about the hype and excitement and everything that is going on at the Daytona 500, and he can feel it, you know that the energy is high.
Mana.
At this moment, 30 drivers, maybe more, think I have a good chance to win the Daytona 500. And the other 10, I've got a shot. If I can stay in that lead draft, it could happen.
This is the ultimate test. You have to battle adversity. Attrition comes into play. A little bit of luck into the Daytona 500. Everything, Kevin, has to be perfect.
Well, the biggest thing that is different from the Daytona 500 and the start of it is all the hype, the anticipation, and that enthusiasm that I believe all 40 drivers feel like they can win the race. So this is always the hardest part, for me, was controlling those emotions to start this race.
We've seen it all. First-time winners. They can win it. Everybody on this racetrack can pull it off today.
Let's enjoy a few moments of silence, the last we'll have for the next nearly 4 hours here in Daytona. Let's go trackside to The Rock and U.S. Army Chief of Staff General Randy George.
Daytona International Speedway. This is a moment you have all been waiting for. Here to give the command of fire engines is actor, entrepreneur, founder, and United Football League co-owner, the Grand Marshal for the 66th running of the Daytona 500, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
In the proud spirit of America and in the proud spirit of our great country, finally, The Rock says, drivers, start your engine!
We are 500 miles from history here in Daytona. Green flag next.
It's time for the 66th running of the Daytona 500, the great American race at Daytona International Speedway. The NASCAR Cup Series first raced here in 1959, and the Daytona 500 has been the season opening race since 1982. With corners banked at 31 degrees, a long sweeping front stretch banked at 18 degrees, and a 3,000-foot backstretch dubbed the Super Stretch, this 2.5-mile superspeedway was built for high speeds and high intensity. Drivers position their race cars mere inches apart as they use the draft to maintain speed all the way around the speedway. Cars go so fast on this track that the engine horsepower is decreased and drag increased to help keep speeds under a 200 mile per hour threshold. The race is broken up into 3 stages, the first 2 stages being 65 laps in length. The final stage of 70 laps completes the 500-mile length of this event. The prestige and chaos of 40 race cars all within a half of a second of each other can be both exhilarating and intimidating. We recently caught up with a few drivers to talk about what it's like to race at this legendary facility, and here's what they had to say.
Running the Daytona 500 it's kind of complicated. It's a race that means so much to our whole sport, and so the pressure's high. But it's a race that's not won in the beginning, but it can be lost in the beginning.
Super speedway racing is crazy. You got guys on your left and your right. You're inches away from them. You're hitting the guy in front of you. They're hitting you from behind, and you're always constantly scanning where those cars are around you.
I think the biggest thing is before you could make a run at the win with 10 to go from 25th. Now, that your entire race is being strategized on trying to be in the front for the last stage.
And last.
Welcome back to Daytona. Closing in on the start of the 500, there is U.S. Army Chief of Staff General Randy George here for the pre-race ceremonies. And we've had quite an air show from the Air Force Thunderbirds. My gosh, everybody's ducked at least twice. Here's the starting lineup for the 65th Daytona 500. It's an all-Ford front row with the 2015 winner Joey Logano for Team Penske and the 2021 winner Michael McDowell.
Let's check in with Joey Logano. Hey, Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick up in the Fox Sports booth. You're on the pole, buddy. Tell us what you plan to do to stay there.
That's the $1 million question right there. A lot of things can happen at 500 miles, but I got a great Shell Penzo Mustang. Looks good out front. Got another Mustang with me there, so we'll try to work together the best we can to stay towards the front, get through the pit cycles, and get through the stages, and ultimately be there at the end.
All right, buddy. Good luck today. Put on a show for us.
Oh, it'll be a show no matter what. Enjoy it.
All right, row 2. Both of the dual winners for this week. Tyler Reddick, number 45, and the 20 of Christopher Bell.
Row number 3 is 6-time most popular driver Chase Elliott and 2022 Daytona 500 winner Austin Cindric.
Row 4, Alex Bowman, who finished 5th last year from the pole, and 3-time Daytona 500 winner Denny Hamlin.
Let's dial up old Denny Hamlin. Hey, Denny Hamlin, it's Boyer and the boys up in the Fox Sports booth. You got us?
10-4, I got you.
All right, man, 3-time Daytona 500 winner. The Toyotas, they all seem lights out this week in Daytona. How about this stat? Do you realize winning today would tie you with the legend himself, Cale Yarborough, for second all-time right here at the Daytona 500? What would that mean to you?
Well, I mean, he's probably the best driver that ever drove the 11, that's for sure. So I'd love to have that company for sure. We're going to have a little luck to go our way to have it all happen, but I can say, we've got as good a shot today as we've ever had.
All right, buddy, good luck. Go get him out there.
Thank you, guys.
Row number 5, the youngest driver in the field with Carson Hocevar, and starting 10th is John Hunter Nemechek.
All right, row number 6, that Jones boy, number 43, Eric Jones. How about 21, proud of the Wood brothers, Harrison Burton.
Hey you, stop clicking around, all right? This is gonna sound nuts, but the best way to cool your home down this summer.
Row 7, Daniel Suarez finished 7th last year, and the 2022 truck champion rookie Zane Smith.
Row number 8 is Ty Gibbs, 2023 Rookie of the Year, and Brad Keselowski, 2012 Cup Series champion.
Row number 9, the number 5, Kyle Larson, 23 Cup wins, but none here. His teammate William Byron on his outside in the 24 car.
Starting 19th is Chris Buescher, and starting 20th is Chase Briscoe, who finished 3rd in 2022.
All right, row number 11, Busch Beer all the way. How about my beer fans out there? Ross Chastain off the chain, and Justin Haley on his outside in 51.
Row 12, Hall of Famer Jimmy Johnson is back to run the 500. He's paired up with Bubba Wallace, a 2-time Daytona 500 runner-up. Josh Sims.
Well, Mike, 7-time Cup champion Jimmie Johnson has never been in a situation like the one he was this week, having to race his way into the Great American Race. He said he hasn't been that nervous in a very long time, but he survived the wreck to race his way into the Daytona 500. The work wasn't done there. Damage to the car. They were able to fix it during practice. He feels good about it. Now remember, Jimmie races part-time these days, much less experience than the rest of the drivers in this next-gen car. What he does have experience in, winning the Daytona 500, Jamie. He's done it twice.
Well, Josh, Bubba Wallace was one of the many drivers that had damage in the dual races on Thursday night, and because of that, he will start mid-pack today. But don't count him out. This 30-year-old has a knack for this style of racing. He's finished runner-up here in the Great American Race 2 different times. Can you imagine the storyline if he could deliver the ultimate trophy to his boss man, the legend, Michael Jordan?
Rolling off 25th today, a guy who rolled over 10 times here last August, Ryan Preece, and Kaz Gralla, who raced his way in the duels on Thursday.
Row number 14, he's a champion, folks. Number 19, Martin Truex Jr., been here a long time, yet to get his Daytona 500 win. On his outside, number 16, A.J. Allmendinger.
Row 15, Corey LaJoie. Is he your sleeper pick? He runs really well here. And 33-year-old rookie in the number 4, Josh Berry.
Row 16 is Todd Gilliland and our 2023 Cup Series champion, Ryan Blaney.
Row number 17, everybody loves the number 3, Austin Dillon, driving it this time, 2018 Daytona 500 winner, and his teammate on his outside, number 8, Kyle Busch.
Here's Regan Smith.
Well, Mike, Kyle Busch is perhaps NASCAR's fiercest competitor, and he has used that fierceness to gain 63 wins and 2 championships. But the one that has eluded him is the Daytona 500. Much like last year, a crash in Thursday's qualifying races has relegated him to a backup car. But also, much like last year, the team feels great about that backup car and the chances of him getting to the front with it and perhaps claiming that first Daytona 500 win.
35th, the 2023 500 winner, Ricky Stenhouse in the 47. And from Las Vegas, Riley Herbst, who finished 10th in last year's 500.
Row 19th, making his 3rd Daytona 500 start, is Daniel Hemrick, and right behind him is Noah Gragson.
Rounding out the field, row 20, Anthony Alfredo locked himself in a qualifying night, and on his outside, David Reagan in out RFK car. Entry for this thing, the 3rd entry for RFK. Keep an eye on David. He'll be marching to the front.
These drivers will go to the rear because they've had to move to a backup car, largely after what happened at the conclusion of one of Thursday's qualifying races. Let's show it to you. Watch the yellow number 12 of Ryan Blaney get turned and take a savage hit into the outside wall, measured at 55 Gs.
Man, it still hurts, Kevin.
And it's on fire, too, so there is nothing good about that, and we're just glad to see Ryan get out of that car.
Ryan climbed out okay, practiced Friday, now has a new helmet and a new car. Let's check in with our crew chief, Larry McReynolds, and a look at aerodynamics.
Yeah, Mike, anytime you're at a high-speed super speedway like Daytona, to be faster, it's all about the draft. The more cars you can get in the line, the faster you're going to run. So let's take a look at airflow at our Toyota Cutaway Camry car. Here's a single car right here. This is what the airflow will look like. You're going to see max downforce on the front of the car as well as in the rear of the car in that rear spoiler area. That actually more downforce and hurts the drag. But as a car approaches that lead car, you're going to see the airflow change. It takes downforce away and it gives it less drag, which makes them run faster as one unit. Look at the hood flaps as the pressure changes on that trail car. That's the reason they come up. Now, the more cars you can line up, the faster you're going to run. Mike, this is why after a green flag pit stop, you want to make sure you have a partner to draft with to maximize that speed after leaving pit road.
Thanks, Larry. Safety in numbers.
Well, it is safety in numbers, and when you look at that graphic, when you see that hood flap stand straight up, you know you're doing a good job, but you need your team of manufacturers to do what you need to do to stay in the front and even get to the front if you're not already there.
Strength in numbers.
That's right.
Yes. All right, it's time for Toyota Rev Up to Green.
Toyota is proud to be pacing the Great American Race with a new Toyota Camry XSE, which continues to be proudly built in Georgetown, Kentucky. With this innovative new look, TRD and Cal-D Design work collaboratively to imitate many of the production Camry striking features on the new Toyota Camry XSE NASCAR Cup Series race car, including the distinctive Toyota Hammerhead front fascia. The latest version of the Toyota Camry, which has been the best-selling sedan for 21 straight years, is scheduled to hit showroom floors later this spring.
If you sleep on your side, I bet you hate your pillow, and this is why. They might be.
It is a beautiful day in Daytona. It's Bill France weather, as they said. First almost 60 years of this race, it was never rained out. 60 degrees. Winds out of the northwest at 12. Track temp due to the sunshine 90 degrees. And how about this crowd? They're going to run the Xfinity race tonight, about an hour after the 500 concludes. And Daytona Speedway President Frank Kelleher said, if you have a ticket for either race, come on for the day.
I'm so happy to see this crowd. Hey, they waited it out with us. Torrential downpour, ladies and gentlemen. I saw tents underwater out there. It didn't slow our people down. They're here to see these boys put on a show, and that's exactly what they're going to see.
200 laps, 500 miles is the scheduled distance, and the race will be run in 3 stages of 65, 65, and 70 laps. Now, each of those stages are longer than the cars can go on fuel, so we'll have at least one pit stop in every stage. Well, we know they built a few of the new Toyota Camry XSE, one in that feature, and here's one out here leading the field. Big lower grille area with C-shaped corner vents, a hood with new character lines and duct exits, updated thinner tail lights. Cool piece in showrooms this summer.
Well, the coolest piece is that nose on that Camry, that it pushes really, really well.
On the race car.
On the race car.
Yes.
Yeah, don't push the pace car.
Big difference that body's made in what we've seen down here at Daytona.
All right, Joey Logano, the pole sitter, has chosen the outside lane for the start. Here is Michael McDowell alongside.
He's done a great job all week to do what we came here to do. Just great effort. 500 miles. It's what we all dreamed of, Daytona 500. That's getting it bigger, any cooler, any better than this. So take it in, enjoy it, but let's go do what we came here to do.
That's a confidence you don't always hear in Michael McDowell, but you hear it at Daytona. Daytona 500 champ, boy knows how to get this thing to the end of this thing and be a part of that picture when you come off of turn 4 for that magical moment.
Yeah, the one thing I've really noticed about Michael is he's just become that leader. When he talks and he tries to do the things that he does, he's very calm, like you say, but he's become a leader. And you've seen this team progress over the last couple of years. They just keep getting better and better, and they've been rewarded by Ford with that Tier 1 support and all the things that they're going to get from their manufacturer as well.
Now, good luck to the spotters up on the roof above us, 3/4 of a mile away from where these cars are now, telling those 2 yellow cars apart if they both stay up front.
Well, one's got a hearts all over it.
Oh, well, that.
I mean, surely we can pick the ones with the hearts out, don't you think?
All right. Well, I want to know what's your heart rate right now compared to last year's Daytona 500 in the seat of the number 4?
My heart rate's still high because I know what those guys are feeling coming to the green flag. The anticipation, your heart rate, and that's one thing that we will talk about as this race starts, is the anxiety of coming to the green flag at the Daytona 500.
Off turn 4 in the 31-degree banking in the 1,200-foot short chute. Pace car will take a hard left turn now, and they will face the green flag for 200 laps, 500 miles to start the 2024 season. Green flag, the Daytona 500 is underway. Still building speed in the back straightaway.
Well, they're building speed, Mike, but the one thing I can tell you about the start of this race that all the drivers are going through is going to be experiencing the speed of the pack that they haven't experienced all week. All 40 cars in the pack. They've only raced against half the field so far, and right now they're all lined up building speed, but speed that they haven't felt before this week.
I think this weather is going to play a role in it. Mike, you told us about the weather. Sun's out. You can see it shining down on this racetrack and on these cars. These boys are going to have their hands full here in a few laps, and these things start slipping and sliding around, and tires wear out.
And after 2 solid days of soaking rain, you don't want to end up in that infield grass. That will be a difficult escape.
Well, we qualified at night. We raced in the duels at night. You see the sun shining like Clint is talking about, and these guys are going to experience that as they get 10, 12, 15 laps into this run. But the thing I can tell you is it will also go through a bigger swing today because of the fact that we're starting in the sun and going to end in the dark.
They're lined up like the pace lap, but they're doing 186 miles an hour.
Man, Clint, there is nothing like the sound of these race cars when they come by you, and you hear those cars come by our cameras and rattle in the cameras, and the speed of the cars as they go down the back straightaway there. There is nothing like it, and the drivers are still a little bit tense.
Well, right now it's bumper to bumper traffic as we know it, right? Nowhere to go, just follow the leader. Shortly, you're going to start seeing, we got a pair of Fords on the front, Toyota's the second row. You see a Penske car, you know that's a Logano teammate. These boys are going to start finding each other. It's just a matter of when and how.
And it's just like they experienced Thursday night. The beginning of this race is really, how does my car feel? Is it hitting the ground? Am I comfortable in the seat, steering? And we see the same excitement that little guy sees in the grandstands watching our screen right here.
The other thing about this race in particular, we've watched the duels. I heard you say that's a half a field, half a pack. This is the first time all of these guys have felt their cars running this speed. Larry showed us how much of a difference just one car makes behind. Can you imagine a whole field? 40 cars back there making it.
All right, here's the first breakout up in turn number 3 wide, about 7 or 8 rows back. Things starting to move in mid-pack.
My phone, my wallet, passport.
Ross Chastain was the first to break out to the outside. There you see his blue and white number 1 with Josh Berry behind him.
Well, that's the two strategies that the other drivers are on in the back of the pack. How do I get to the front? And Ross Chastain's like, man, I'm going to tow this pack with me. And you see a lot of guys in that outside line lined up behind him wanting to be aggressive and get to the front of this pack fast.
Well, he ain't the only one either. Other guys will get greedy. You see Brad Keselowski in that 6 car jumped up in front of him. He won't be the only one coming to the front.
John Hunter Nemechek, the 42, he's looking up high. Maybe perhaps trying to hold both the middle and the high lane back in his 42.
Can't be iffy in these decisions, Kevin. That spotter says clear up, you better be there.
Oh, crash! 2 cars slammed together, and Harrison Burton takes a wild ride through the grass and up into more traffic, gets tagged, turned around, and 5 cars are in it. Ryan Preece.
I think he missed that inside wall. Harrison Burton, big damage on the 21 car.
And Carson Hocevar, the rookie, gets taken out into that very, very wet grass in the ball field.
Well,
the Wood brothers trying for their 100th ever NASCAR win, and Harrison Burton gets tagged and sent.
Well, this is exactly what you don't want to see happen. Something early in this race where everybody's trying to race hard, and we just talked about those guys going to that 3rd lane, and it puts those guys in the middle lane in a bad spot with the handling of their cars that they hadn't really been in. Let's see what happened, Clint.
Watch the 21, Harrison Burton.
Okay, you see Harrison Burton in the middle of that 3 wide conversation we're talking about, and we are also talking about John Hunter Nemechek kind of being iffy on his move.
Now the 42, John Hunter Nemechek on the outside of Burton, the green and white car, and Brad Keselowski and he make contact.
Keselowski got to his rear bumper, just took a little bit of a love tap, turned him sideways, looked to me like he was on the left corner of that bumper, turned him right down into Harrison Burton.
Well, and it's just what we were talking about, Clint, with everybody trying to feel out exactly what their cars were doing, and those guys in the middle didn't have anything to do with the handling. So, you see Brad into the back. Oh, yeah, you're exactly right, Clint. The 42 car of John Hunter Nemechek just got up a little higher. Brad was probably trying to stay square and being pushed by the guy behind him, and they just got a little bit offset right there.
Austin Dillon, Jimmy Johnson among those with damage in this one. We're 6 laps in at Daytona. It's not too late to play the NASCAR Super 6 Challenge. Just download the Fox Sports app right now and make your picks for a chance to win your share of $10,000 in cash prizes and VIP tickets to next year's 500. Here are the cars with at least some damage in this crash. Kaz Grala was the car Harrison Burton came up and slammed into when he came back up onto the racetrack. Austin Dillon also got some damage, as did Jimmy Johnson. John Hunter Nemechek at the front of this, and rookie Carson Hocevar. There's Johnson at rest. All right, let's have a look at how and where this gets started.
Yeah, and this, you called this, Mike. This starts right here with John Hunter Nemechek as he tries to block this upper line right here. Brad Keselowski coming. Brad sees he's middle of the road. You see him check up right there, and it checks the whole lineup. Well, as he checks up, the one car of Ross Chastain's right on his bumper, ships him back forward with a run of speed, and John Hunter's up a little bit higher than Brad Keselowski is. They get their bumpers off center, and off it goes.
There's Hocevar tangled up with Burton's number 21. He comes back up the blue and white car. Wham! Kaz Grala. Wham! Austin Dillon. Jimmy Johnson got involved a little further back, and Ryan Preece slides right past the end of pit road, but did not contact the wall.
We're lucky it didn't tear up any more cars than that. Look how many cars are behind him. 3 wide. You look up and see Harrison Burton sideways, Kevin, 6 laps into this race. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, and as I was watching them slide through the grass, I was hoping they didn't do this and come back up the racetrack. You see, that's where all the cars got torn up. Jimmy Johnson's cars, it just depends on that left front tire and if the toe is knocked out, or I see him with the hood up on pit road. But Harrison Burton, what a terrible break for the Wood brothers and everything that you prepare for over the last 3 months. And we see this race go that time every once in a while. just these early wrecks that sometimes start with just people trying to go and trying to move forward.
Burton would have been okay, but for coming back up on the racing surface, obviously couldn't slow down. Kaz Grala thought he had the high line clear, and he did until Burton got there. A lot of damage here. Let's ride with Jimmy Johnson.
Eyes up here. It's called the Groove Belt Ultra. Let me tell you about it.
Terrible feeling. Smoke.
You see it.
Yeah, and he just.
That's a pretty good shot.
Yeah, that was a lot harder than I thought.
Yeah.
I feel so bad for Harrison Burton. Riding in the middle, doing nothing wrong, minding his own business. Those guys were 3 wide on his outside, kind of stacked that line up a little bit. Nothing he could do at all.
And the one thing you notice from Jimmy Johnson's car is he was in the back of the pack there. With this particular car, you can't just hang back like you used to. You have to be somewhat close to the pack. You see Ryan Priest sliding through there. Harrison Burton's radiator and ductwork, everything fly out of the front of the car.
That's a good point, Kevin. You know, in years past, back in the day, you just ride around back far enough knowing that that's going to happen, that you could get out of harm's way. You'll lose the draft if you lag back too far.
Kaz Grala, the Boston native, hauled back to the garage. Repairs for Austin Dillon and Jimmy Johnson. Pit road is open. Here they come. Josh.
For Michael McDowell in to top off with fuel only.
Whoa, that was close with William Byron right there. Jamie?
And Bubba Wallace, they knew right away they wanted to come in and pit. They said all we need is 2 seconds of fuel, and go, wow, there's all kinds of chaos down here, Mike.
Guys, this is worst case scenario because of all the cars on pit road and nobody's out of the race, and every pit stall is occupied, but everybody wants to keep these cars full of gas in order to put themselves in a great position.
Now Corey LaJoie, A.J. Allmendinger, William Byron, and Todd Gilliland took tires. Most everybody else was gas only. First caution of the day comes out working lap 6. John Henry Nemechek into Harrison Burton. Big crash. The Daytona 500 on Fox is sponsored by Toyota. Let's go places. And by Wendy's Breakfast, 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles are here. Your perfect duo, just $3. 10 laps complete in Daytona. Here's our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear, powering the race from green to checkered flag and every mile in between. Goodyear, more driven. The Goodyear blimp on hand for the Daytona 500. Helping us with aerial coverage, the field in turn 3, coming to the green this time. Christopher Bell is the first off pit road in his Toyota, and series champ Ryan Blaney's Ford alongside, actually Bell was not the first off pit road. He did not pit, nor did Blaney nor Daniel Hemrick. They stayed out to gain track position.
And boy, did they. Talking about Blaney and Hemrick up 36, 34 spots. Big pickup. Need track position, found it.
Pace car is in. We begin lap 12. Burton and Grala's cars both removed to the garage. I believe everybody else was able to continue.
Well, that's either going to be a wake-up call for everybody and this is going to calm down, or that's just going to set the tone for this whole race with chaos and pushing and shoving. We know we're going to see pushing and shoving, but with that third line, that was a bit of a surprise that early for me.
I agree with that, and I think it'll be the first one that you just offered. I think it's going to calm them down a little bit. We're going to settle in. 500 miles is a long time.
And Carson Hocevar, the rookie, has taken his car to the garage also from that. Jimmy Johnson and Austin Dillon are 2 laps down, while Ryan Preece stays on the lead lap. Hocevar and Burton have been released from the care center.
Hot rooms turn icy cold instantly without AC, while slashing electric bills just by doing this. Tired of hot and stuffy rooms during
And now it all resets. We see Christopher Bell and Ryan Blaney at the front of this pack. Daniel Hemrick at the front of the pack, like you guys talked, didn't pit, stayed up front. That's a call from the crew chief to say, hey, we need to do something early to establish ourselves at the front of the pack and hope that you have enough guys to pit with you, or you have another caution fall your way. And I would tell you that I would much rather be at the front, Mike, than at the back. I feel like it's safer.
Regan, how about Blaney's move to the front?
Well, my crew chief, Jonathan Hassler, said exactly what he would do earlier today. He said, I'm going to be very aggressive if there's a yellow early in the race or as green flag cycles present themselves. That's what he did right here to get his driver up front. But part of the reason he could do that, Ryan Blaney very happy with the car as it is right now. A little loose in the corners, meaning the back sliding, otherwise good.
A.J. Allmendinger having difficulty, or a drive-through penalty. Right here on pit road.
See Austin Dillon headed to the garage area in that 3 car. Such a bummer.
Former Daytona 500 winner. Out of it here. Allmendinger was penalized, given a drive-through penalty for not lining up properly for the restart. John Hunter Nemechek served a penalty for equipment violation, and William Byron, to get into his pit stall, had to make a late dive outside another car, ended up in the wrong pit box, so he restarted tail end of the longest line as well.
Yeah, pit road looked like we were still in Los Angeles. It would look dangerous out there.
Watching Hemrick and Blaney pull that off and gets his track position, virtually going from the tail back to the front, leading this pack, Kevin. I'm kind of surprised some other teams didn't elect to try that.
Well, we're racing towards stage 1, and everybody knows that there are points on the line. I know we're racing for the Daytona 500 and everything that we need to do, but you got to put yourself in whatever you think is the best position to not have to put tires on, to not have to, to put the least amount of fuel into it, but you got to have track position. You want to be able to be in control of this race, and that was always something that Rodney Childers and myself talked about when I was still driving the car. How do we establish ourselves at the front of the field to be in charge of the race and be able to make decisions and control the lines and do everything that you need to do? So I'd much rather be in the front. Being in the middle is easier, and riding in the back is easy, but you got to learn and race and do the things that it takes in order to be in position and know what to do at the end of this race to win.
Ryan Blaney is not just the defending Cup Series champion. He is a third-generation racing champ. Let's go under the helmet with Ryan Blaney.
I was born in Hartford, Ohio. My favorite driver growing up, besides my dad, I was a big Jimmy Johnson fan. I don't really treat myself a lot. I don't really. My fiance always asks me, "What do you want for Christmas?" I was like, "I don't need anything. I don't want anything. I'm fine." I was like, "Well, if we win a championship, we'll get a pool." She's been harping on me for a pool for like a year and a half. I was like, "All right, I'll make a deal. We win the championship. This is like in June. We get a pool. Win the championship." And like one of the first things I said to her on stage, I'm like, "Well, I guess we're getting that pool after all." So.
Better get the hole dug. It's time for a pool, buddy. Champion, leading the pack of the Daytona 500. Still a tall order. Still a lot of things have to go right here. Still the stage end at lap 65, as you see, probably still going to have to pit, maybe without a caution or something else. A lot of business to be done in our green flag stop yet.
Jamie, how about our pole sitter?
Yeah, Ryan Blaney's teammate Joey Logano delivered the captain Roger Penske his first ever Daytona 500 pole. That was a big moment for them. And the car has just been so good. In fact, even in practice, they tried a completely different setup, and they went back to what they unloaded with. And now, guys, after leading, they did pit, got fuel only. Now he's saying just a little bit free as he feels the car out in traffic. Josh?
Well, Jamie, I talked to Christopher Bell last year going into the Daytona 500, told me he is not a fan of super speedway racing. Well, he turned that into a third-place finish, his best ever in the Daytona 500. Came back this year, won his duel, so he's getting much better at this style of racing. Talked to him today, still not a fan, but he said the confidence is growing, and you see him running up front right now, guys.
Did you see how he was holding the wheel right there, Kevin?
Yeah, I did.
We both grabbed it, each other. Said, hey, what was that? Just a little bit of... Hey, 500 miles is a long time. Long way to the house.
And you hear Christopher Bell, the report there from Josh, talk about not liking super speedway racing. That's not uncommon. There's a lot of guys, I was one of them, didn't really like super speedway racing, but you have to put yourself in this unique mindset when you get here. And mine was always this. I have a 50-50 chance of finishing this race. So I'm either going to have a good day or I'm going to wind up in the garage with the wrecker towing me in. So that was just, I know that's always.
You only gave yourself 50% chance? Boy, I always lied to myself. I said, boy, we're going to win this thing. I don't know how yet, but somehow, some way we're going to win. Then ended up upside down on fire.
18 laps complete. Christopher Bell's Toyota side by side with Ryan Blaney's Ford for the lead. 22 laps complete in Daytona. Christopher Bell leading Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, and Daniel Hemrick. Every lap that ends in a 1 is a chance for you to win one of 500 prizes being given away throughout the race, courtesy of Busch Light. Follow @BuschBeer on X and enter using hashtag BuschTona500, hashtag sweepstakes.
Now this is kind of weird, seeing the Busch Light on the car actually going around the racetrack and not driving it. But there isn't a better sponsor that activates and does everything better in this sport than Busch Light. So they had a great run with them, and I'm glad they're still on a car on the racetrack. And they'll do a great job with Ross.
Clint, put your phone down. You're not eligible.
Boy, I sure wish I was. I know a guy, though. I know a guy, Mike.
We'll get you fixed up.
Yeah.
GMC Sierra. It's the truck. Get 1.9.
All right, here we go. We got Denny Hamlin's foot cam here, Clint. We see both feet there. You always want to keep the brake pedal foot right here, very close, because anything can happen really quick here on the super speedways. And you see his right foot, the other one modulating that throttle pedal, and you see the percentage up top. And this is all about the strategy of fuel and everything that it takes in order to put yourself in a position to do what you need to do on pit road in as little as time as possible, that we will see coming up here in a few, I don't know, probably what? How many laps, Clint?
It won't be long. I can tell you this, it won't be the end of that stage.
Well, we saw Denny Hamlin win the other night in the duel, doing the strategy that he's doing right now. Let's hear what the 5 car has to say.
We are going to be close to being able to make it, especially with what you're saving right now. The 2 front cars did not pit, and they're kind of screwing themselves because them saving, they still cannot make it, but they're going to help all of us be able to make it. So keep doing what you're doing.
That's why I love Cliff Daniels. Always giving the information only needed to that driver, Kyle Larson. He is so good at the communication of not just overwhelming him, but telling you exactly what you need to say. And by the way, he's exactly spot on.
Larry Mack.
Yeah, Mike, I've been watching the throttle trace on the top 3, Bell, Blaney, and Hemrick. That's the 3 drivers that did not pit under that last caution. And I think about Bell and Hemrick, they're modulating the throttle quite a bit. But Ryan Blaney is just steady, right about 65% throttle. Right now, it looks like he can probably go about another 23 or 24 laps in that 12 car.
So he played the hand, right? The hand that they had. He got to track position. Without a caution or some help here, he's probably not going to make this stage end in a good fashion.
Well, and this isn't easy. When you're leading the race like this and having to manage the fuel, and what happens when you have one of those early cautions and it puts you in a window to be able to make it to the end of in this case, stage 1, it makes everybody want to be in that position to win the stage, because in the end, you're racing the first stage here for your points for the whole year. And we've seen people miss it by 1 point, 2 point, 3 points. Ryan Blaney beat Martin Truex Jr. In 2022 by 3 points. So, hey, you got to do what you got to do to put yourself in the right window. Might not be the same for everybody. When you look at Christopher Bell and those guys who did not pit, I don't think they can make it to the end of the stage, and that's going to put them in a really bad position. But it's like Cliff Daniels said, it's helping everybody else in the field out that they're doing that.
Well, after what happened at lap 6 and the big crash that took 4 cars out of this race, is that why we're not seeing anybody break out who could run faster on the outside and form up a 3rd lane?
Well, you don't want to be the guy that has to pit. And if you have to pit and everybody else doesn't pit, everything you've worked towards in trying to get to the end of the stage and put yourself in position kind of goes out the window. But if you're on pit road and they're under green and you have a little bit of trouble, you'll be a lap down. So you should be able to pit and be really close to not being a lap down. But if you have just one little hiccup, you're going to be a lap down, and then you're really going to have some trouble. So it's a long race. You have to be smart. We saw these guys go hard early, trying to put themselves in position, and we got a whole bunch of torn up race cars already.
I still like the gamble. It was worth it. At this point in a 500-mile race, you know that you're not going to go a lap down. Even if you have to pit and they don't, whatever the case may be, it's not that big of a risk, I think. I think the reward is big time. 34 spots they found right now.
Well, the big thing that worries me is it's what, 7-8 laps. I didn't notice the number before it all went off. It's a pretty big number, Clint, that difference in laps that you're going to have to pit earlier to be able to go out there and have to run with 3 cars. That's basically what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to run with 3 cars, and we know, like we saw in the beginning, the more cars you stack in that line, the faster that line's going to go. So I'm just worried about their speed if they have to pit by themselves.
Larry told me, no worry. I don't think they're not going to go a lap down. I still think risk versus reward, it was worth it.
Now here's something we've not seen at Daytona. Usually if you lose the draft, you'll fall back further back. But with the pace being set right now, A.J. Allmendinger, who had to have a drive-through penalty and is out on track by himself, is lapping faster than the pack. He may catch them.
Well, he's hoping that he catches them.
Sure.
Yeah, we see the pace is a 51-31, and there's going to be a lot of times we run in the 47s with the whole pack. So that is a tremendous amount of fuel that needs to be saved. But it's all part of the strategy. It's all part of the game.
6 laps into this race, the strategy changed dramatically after this. John Hunter Nemechek into Harrison Burton, into Ryan Preece, back up the track, melee.